Good evening, everybody. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yes, you're right, Matt, it does work. Good evening, everybody. I've got 5 o'clock, so I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, Sean Callan. Here. Julie Chutney.
Here.
Tom Chiappa.
Here.
Dave Christofoli. Here. Jim McKenzie's here. Kristen Norfleet. Here. And Sean Onmock. If you could stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so before we actually get into the agenda, I've been told we have a minor change in the agenda, so I'm going to need a motion and a second to amend the agenda under finance, and I will get to that in a moment. So finance, item E, must come after F and G. So we're just going to move E after F and G. It's just an order of operation for a contract and distributing the monies. So if I can get a motion to move E to after G in the agenda?
I'll move it.
Thank you, David.
I'll second.
Thank you, Kristen. Any discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Wonderful, motion carries. Okay, floor to the public. We don't have anybody signed up for the floor to the public. So the next thing is under Board of Education. So here we have a contract between the Board of Education and Dr. Raymond W. Kilmer, EDD. So upon the presentation and recommendation of Dr. Jim McKenzie, Board of Education President, that the Board of Education hereby approves and authorizes that the President of the Board of Education to sign the agreement with Dr. Raymond W. Kilmer, EDD, as presented to the Board of Education in the form of the attached Exhibit 1 for the period September 18th, 2023 through September 17th, 2026. This resolution shall be in full force and effect upon its adoption. So can I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Sean. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Sean. Is there any discussion?
Yeah. I'd just like to say that since the article was in the paper and we published it out to our community, I personally have been getting communications from people complimenting us on what a great choice we've made. I just wanted to read one of the responses that I got from somebody, a little pat on Ray's back, which says, "Your new superintendent, Ray Kilmer, is one of the finest human beings on earth. A first-rate, smart, articulate, caring dude. He's been the principal for my kids' high school for a long time. He's going to be great." So I'm very pleased to be able to say welcome to Oswego.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to just compliment the board and even the existing board on the process that we went through. I know that when, back in May, when we were turning over our board, that you guys were through this, well on your way. And to bring us in and what we've worked on together to find, well, not even, you guys already found, along the process. But where we ended up, Ray, I mean, I couldn't be happier as a board member with the 6 board members here to welcome you to our community, to, absolutely introduce you to our Oswego community as a whole. And this is a great new beginning, so welcome. And there's a lot of excitement. I actually had 5 different text messages, and they weren't from Oswego County today, about how proud we should be and excited.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? So I'd just like to welcome you along with everybody else. And I'd also like to thank former board members who participated in this process. It was a heavy lift over 2 boards. So I thank everybody who was involved in the process. So any further discussion? Okay, I'm going to ask for a hand vote for this one, please. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. So, Dr. Kilmer, would you care to say anything?
I guess the only thing I can say is thank you. We first met a number of months ago in this process, and I didn't know where that process was ultimately going to take us. But I think I said to you, and I've said to the committee as well, that for me, being an educator and having a positive influence in children's lives is really what matters most to me. And it means more to me now as a father. You know, my youngest is here with me along with my wife. And so being able to come into a community to partner with the great educators, and many of which I met walking in today as well, I'm just excited to be a part of something with all of you and with them. I don't have all the answers. I'm not going to come in and say I have all the answers, but I am going to come here and care for this community in the way in which you showed me care this evening. And I'm just excited to begin this work with all of you. And I can't wait to see where it takes us all. So I'm honored and thank you.
Okay, so the next item on our agenda, B, is resolution appointing acting superintendent of schools and improving employment agreement. So since our interim superintendent, Jeff Gordon, left July 1st, Amanda Caldwell has been gracious enough to help us in those duties. And so this resolution is going to allow us to continue that until Dr. Kilmer can take over on September 18th. So if I can get a motion for the resolution, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a second? Somebody second it? I will second it. Okay. Any conversation? Okay. Having heard none, again, I'm going to ask for a hand vote just so we make sure I got everybody. All those in favor? Yes? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Anybody opposed? Motion carries 4-3. Okay, thank you very much. All right, superintendent's report. Amanda?
Good evening, everyone. I would just like to say on my behalf and behalf of the cabinet as well, also welcome to Dr. Kilmer. We are looking forward to our work together and moving the district forward in very positive directions. I have provided the board with 2 documents this evening. One is a copy of the organizational chart, which you already have, but I would commend the board for seeking more information about what exactly the administrative team does for a living, what our roles and responsibilities are here in the district. So we have provided you with our roles and responsibilities. There are a couple for folks who have been in very long-term positions that the job descriptions need to be updated. And so we will get those to you as soon as is possible. But that is the request was for the job descriptions of the folks who work at the district office or the education center. So those are included in your packet. The other item that I gave you is a copy of 2 different articles that describe what a professional learning community is. I have had the pleasure this week of participating in a PLC conference or professional learning community conference with the majority of our administrative team, our building principals on our administrative team on the instructional side of the house. A professional learning community is really a framework about how we improve school districts and move forward with a focus on learning and results-oriented practices. It has been both a financial and human time investment in both learning the work and bringing it back to the district will also be a heavy lift for us. But there is a lot of research backing the process of professional learning communities and what it has done to advance the education of all students within a district. It's really focused on equity work and creating opportunities for all students to learn at high levels, including access to advanced courses for all students, questioning our grading practices and teaching teachers really to focus on student learning as opposed to teaching, which has been a focus in education for a long time. So just making the board aware that that is work that the instructional side of the house is doing and really planning on debriefing together and putting some plans in place to move the district forward. So if you are interested in learning more about professional learning communities, I've provided that to you. And that's all.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, we are on to our policies. We have a second reading and the approval of Policy 7530, Child Abuse and Maltreatment, Policy 7150, Remote Instruction, Policy 6130, Evaluation of Personnel, Policy 6550, Leaves of Absence, and Policy 7670, Due Process Complaints, Selection and Board Appointment of Impartial Hearing Officers. So if I can have a motion for the policy's second reading and approval, please.
Motion.
Thank you, Kristen.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. A is the special education report for August 15th, 2023. B is the minutes from a regular board meeting on August 1st. And C is the claims audit report for July 2023. If I can have a motion in a second, please.
I'll move it.
Okay, a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Any discussion? Okay, having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Personnel, Bob.
Good evening, everyone. Under Personnel, we have, our first two is administrative recommendation and a COASA recommendation for probationary appointment, so items A and B as presented.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll move it.
Thank you, David. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? I would just like to say I'm welcoming Mr. Rowberry as our Director of Facilities. This has been a position that has not been filled for a while, so it's very, very good that we have this person in here. So welcome into that position. Thank you very much for taking on these duties. So, anybody else? No. All those in favor?
Aye.
I thought you were going to forget.
I got you, thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, the next grouping, we have professional staff recommendations, a couple of resignations, rescission, probationary positions, and our regular substitute and daily billing substitutes. So that is items C through G as presented.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion for C through G?
I'll make a motion. All right, I'll second.
We got Tom first, and we'll have Julie second. Thank you. Any discussion? Heard none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
Your next group is support staff recommendations, probationary position, resignation, and provisional appointment, and the leave of absence. So items H through K as presented.
Okay, H through K. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Thank you, Kristen. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Any discussion? Heard none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion
Okay.
carries.
Our last grouping is, we have substitutes and temporary employees. We have several extra compensatory position recommendations and our extracurricular volunteer recommendations. So that is items L through Q as presented.
Okay, so L through Q, is there a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Sean. Any discussion here? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Bob. Nancy, Finance?
A is a request for a budget transfer of funds for supplies to salaries, as presented.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll move it.
Thank you, David. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Any discussion here? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed? Motion carries.
B is a budget amendment for the 2022-23 budget to move money into the health insurance account and to also transfer money which we received more than what was budgeted for our soil emergency project, and also to use undesignated fund balance to cover the shortfall in the health insurance account for the 22-23 school year, as presented.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tom. Can I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you, David. Any discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
C is for the funding of the capital reserve in the amount of $1,713,261, which was a planned funding from the unbalanced 22-23 budget, as presented.
Okay, thank you. A motion, please?
I'll move it.
Thank you, David. Can you get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
D is a memorandum of understanding with the county, Oswego County Department of Social Services, and this is for foster care placements as presented.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Kristen. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Sean. Any discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Wonderful. Motion carries. So we're going to do F next, right?
Okay.
Right, didn't, we amended the agenda, so we're going to go F, G, and then E? That was correct? Oh, no, we're good. No, we're good.
Okay, thank you. F is for the board to approve a resolution to approve the school-based health center funding source and seeker agreement, and to make it an emergency project for SED facilities planning as presented.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Julie. Any discussion? Heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
G is for the board to approve a budget amendment for the 23-24 school year to provide funding for the school-based health center in an amount not to exceed $480,000 as presented.
Okay. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll move it.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion here? Okay. All right, having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
And E is for the board to approve the memorandum of understanding between Oswego City School District and Connects Care for the School-Based Health Center as presented.
Is there a motion?
I'll move it.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Is there discussion?
I'd just like to say I'm so glad that we're doing this. I think it's so needed and offers our kids, so many kids who don't have the ability to get this kind of care in our district, accessibility to all the kids. So I think it's a great thing, and I'm glad we're moving forward with it. So thank you.
Anybody else? Yeah, just for those who are not familiar, the last two votes in this one are dealing with bringing in an outside organization through Connects Care to help with our physical health, mental health, dental health of our children. It's going to be based in the Layton Elementary School, and we're hoping to have maybe the first parts of it open in December. That's our goal, the first parts at least. So again, I'll echo what Tom said. This is a way that some of our students who may not have as much access to health care, both physical and mental, we will be able to provide that much more readily with this service. So I think it's wonderful. Anybody else? Okay. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
H is for the board to approve the contract with Bonadino and Company for our internal audit services as presented.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tom. May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you, Julie. Any discussion? Okay, having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed? Motion carries.
And I is for the board to approve our contract with CMU for the educational trailer as presented.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tom. Have a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you, David. Discussion?
I do. I have questions. I see Jamie's here. Maybe Jamie can answer some of them for me. I understand you may have been involved in putting this together. Yeah. So when I read the contract, my concerns were from a risk management point of view. It looked to me like the risk management or risk wasn't transferring to CMU the way I think it should be for them using the equipment and doing it. And I was hoping you could maybe explain to me how we got that contract.
Sure. Our legal team
Jamie, I'm sorry, would you mind, just for the viewing audience out there?
So we started working on an agreement with the Children's Museum for a mobile STEM lab. It's based on a service that the Children's Museum in Oswego here already provided, where their staff would come into classrooms for a fee and kind of have boxes and things. They'd unpack and work with children. It's based on New York State science standards. And I kind of found out about it. One thing led to another, and I was working with the CMU, trying to arrange this, working with the district. We had some meetings with Dr. Calvin when he was here, with Amanda as well, and we moved forward with a trailer that the district already had owned. And we worked with the legal team on the contract language. So our legal, it was actually, I think Mr. Buckle at the time worked on that contract. As far as the risk management, I did see your questions. I responded, but it was right before the meeting because I was actually driving back from Syracuse myself. But as far as the risk management goes, I do feel that some of your questions were involved or explained out in the contract. If we wanted to wait and have our new legal team review the contract and kind of go from there, we definitely could, postpone this. We did have an agreement last year that was approved by the Board of Education, and we did use the trailer last year. And it is, the way that it works is really for our students in our schools, and we primarily focused on elementary schools. And we would have our maintenance team move the trailer around, but really when it comes to insurance, the Children's Museum does hold insurance on it, and it is spelled out where the liabilities reside, if people do happen to get hurt, risks associated with fire and things like that.
Jamie, is it only for use with Oswego School District students, or do they use it independently through their museum?
They use it, they would need to contact us to move it, and if they want to make any alterations, they would need to contact us and get written approval for that. We did give them approval to do certain things with it as far as modifications, but nothing that would permanently alter the trailer. And they did, for example, last fall at the Pumpkin Fest in East Park, they contracted the district, said, can you move it there? So we did, and it was at Pumpkin Fest for the community to enjoy as well. And people did not have to pay to use it. It was there as a community resource. As far as the cost to the district, we didn't pay any extra. It was moved during maintenance's normal work hours. No, it won't leave our kind of school district vicinity. That's where the contract was set up, so it would always be in Oswego.
All right, thanks, Jim.
Any other discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Wonderful, motion carries. All right, 12, items from the board. Does anybody have anything for this evening from the board?
I do.
Yes.
I just wanted to inquire about student athlete physicals. It's come to my attention that I know in years past, the nursing staff was able to coordinate the opportunity for students who didn't have a recent physical or didn't have access to health care. as you just mentioned, the accessibility to many of our students is real. And I've gotten several calls about students who are looking to play a sport this fall and need a physical, but they've been told, well, doesn't matter. We're not offering that. So I don't know if I tried to find the answers to that before tonight. I just didn't get them. So it sounds like there's not typically a large number, so maybe it was eliminated because of that. But even if it gets one student the ability to play sports, I mean, today, the last answer I got was they have to go to the health center or go to Well Now and pay $40. I just don't know that that's feasible for some of our students if they don't already have health care.
So you're looking at that person, Amanda? Thank you.
Nancy, last time I had asked about maybe busing and any of our improvements. Do we need a little bit more time for that? Okay.
We do.
I'm sure it's a busy time of year, so, but I know that people are still inquiring about that, so if we could kind of learn where our position is before we get going, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Shannon. Anybody else?
Only that I know we've had some discussion about the board member liaison with the schools, that we are going to continue to move forward on that and hopefully have that settled up by the first day of school.
We'll see what we can do. Yes, I think that should be as a point of discussion at our next board meeting. We'll put it on the agenda.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, so next is executive session. We do have a reason for executive session for matter of personnel, and there will not be a vote needed afterwards. So, yeah. So can I get a motion to move to executive, please?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Kristen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, I thought we were going to executive session, which is why I paused.
No, that's fine. I had texted Amanda when she told me we couldn't find a signed contract.